in the game against Pittsburgh in preseason, unfortunately, Tyron did not look like the bidding and budding all-pro that he's becoming. So let's just hope that Tyron has had time to recover over these last 2 weeks and will be strong enough to play in this game. He is expected to play. So now we have Andres Pete. Andres Pete is expected to start over at left guard. And there's been a lot of negative press. There's been a lot of things that have been said about Pete. And he's a young guy trying to gain confidence. And let's just hope everything works out with him at the left guard. I don't know what happened to Lolita and Clemente, why they dropped off so badly this year versus last year. So we're going to keep an eye on Andres Pete, because until Zach Street retires or he can beat him out, he's not going to be at right tackle. And he's a number 1 draft pick, so they're going to try him at left guard over there right next to Tyron Armstead. So the Saints line, we know we're solid with Unger. The Saints offensive line is going to be tested with Khalil Mack, Williams, Justin, and Alden Smith. That's where the battle will really, really lie between the offensive line and the defensive line. And you're going to have to keep your eye on that. Now, this line also must open up some lanes or some holes for Marquine or Spillers or Hightower or even Daniel Lesko, because I expect Hightower will probably not be active for this game, neither Travaris Cadet. I'm thinking it'll be Ingram, Spillers, Lesko, and if necessary, Marcus Murphy. Hightower is primarily the backup should something happen to Ingram, and Travaris Cadet is primarily the backup if something should happen to Spillers. I'm not sure if they'll activate Travaris Cadet or not, because, 7, I think it's 45 active and 8 inactive for a game. So that's going. No, I'm sorry, 46, because you got to have your field goal kicker and your punter. So that's how that's going to go in terms of offensive line. Kyle, I hear a little static. Are we okay? Kyle? Okay, I guess everything is okay. I hear a little static. Apologize for the static. Brendan? Okay, I apologize for the static. I don't know where the static is coming from. Make sure it's my mic or my phone.
Okay, is it better now?
Can you hear me, Kyle?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I hear some static.
Hey, Professor, I do want to let you know Alden Smith has been suspended, and he will not be playing.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of static, KT. I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Barely. It's a lot of static.
Okay,
Hang on, listeners. We're trying to get some things cleared up in the studio.
Okay, I'm not hearing any static from you.
Okay, as long as you're not hearing static, so that means it's coming across. All right, let's continue. Maybe it's my phone. All right, let's continue with next up on the list. I have in terms of discussing the Saints. I want to go to the wide receiver. Michael Thomas has an ankle injury, but he is expected to play. And Michael Thomas, I believe, is an X factor because we got Brandon Cooks and Willie Snead. Michael Thomas, I believe, gives the Saints the X factor in terms of the Raiders secondary. The Raiders secondary, from the observation, what I've seen is okay, but it is not, anything to write home about. They have some key players they utilize in Hayes and Emerson, who's I think about 6'3", but there was nothing spectacular. So I think if Drew Brees can get the time to throw and have the time, be well protected, that he can exploit them. When I looked at Teddy Bridgewater against them, Teddy Bridgewater was exploiting the Raiders secondary. They did not look anything spectacular at all, from my observation and my perspective. Okay, so there is opportunity there if Drew is given time by the offensive line. So it's going to be imperative that Drew is able to give him time. And I think with Michael Thomas, Brandon Cooks, and Willie Snead. Now, very, very important, did not have the greatest preseason is Kobe Feener. Kobe Feener has to show up and play the likes of Jimmy Graham and what Ben Watson were able to do in the Saints offense as a tight end. So it's going to be imperative that Kobe Feener, with that height and that depth, that he is able to acclimate himself into the Saints offense. Unfortunately, he did not have the greatest preseason, and so it's going to be important because the Saints fans were not impressed, are not happy with the amount of money they're paying Feener. So let's just hope he can get off to a great start in game one. And that, because, the Saints rely on their tight end, and that's been a trademark of the Saints offense under Coach Payton as well as for Drew Brees. Then Josh Hill is another one who did not have the greatest preseason, and so Josh Hill also plays a role. It's time for Josh Hill to step up, now I think it's his fourth season, that he stepped up and come into his own. There were great expectations for Josh Hill. His unfortunately has yet to be shown. So I'm looking for Josh Hill this year to make a significant impact. So those are the keys in terms of with Drew and the quarterback play that we have. Now let's go to the running back, and then we're going to do a quick commercial. The running back is very important that Mark Ingram, as I stated earlier, have some lanes to run in. The preseason did not allow us to see a great running game. It was just not great at all. Mark Ingram, I think, was only averaging 3 yards a run, and that made him look like the Mark Ingram from 2011. And so there are people that are concerned, but I think more of these problems lie on offense because nobody was getting any running lanes. So the offensive line has definitely got to open up some lanes for Mark Ingram. Now, I was watching Adrian Peterson, and he was just thrashing the Raiders, but then that's Adrian Peterson. So I think there's room for the Saints to be able to run the ball on the Raiders. And if you look at the stats, which I forgot to mention to you guys, both of these teams were towards the bottom. The Raiders were ranked 22nd in defense. The Saints were ranked 31, 32. The Raiders, in terms of offense, was ranked like 17. The Saints were ranked 8. So the Raiders were in the middle of the pack on offense and at the bottom of the, 2/3 of the defense in the league towards the bottom. So nothing to write about. So the Saints have opportunity to score against this defense if they can keep Khalil Smith. Kyle gave us bad news for the Raiders, good news for the Saints. Aldon Smith is suspended again. And I don't even know if they will allow him back in the league this time because he's been suspended so many times with off-the-field issues. Let's just pray that Aldon Smith can get his act together. So now that gives the Saints really on that line to focus on Khalil Mack. So that's an advantage for the Saints there with that up-to-date news by Kyle T. So now with the running back, Spiller, C.J. Spiller, I'm not sure what's going on, why C.J. Spiller has not been able to really work out thus far for the Saints, but I'm looking for him to be more involved in the game planning significantly this year with the Saints. He's healthier. I think Mr. Spiller is ready to go. I think Mr. Spiller is frustrated. So let's hope that C.J. Spiller, because he's a talent. He's a talent. We saw that in the Dallas game, what he can do. In the Dallas game in overtime, when he ran 80 yards for the touchdown in the Saints' victory in overtime in Game 5. So game 4. We really need C.J. Spiller to be an intricate part of the New Orleans Saints offense in 2016. Now, I would like the Saints offense to see if they can find ways. I don't know if Tommy Lee Lewis will be active, but I would love the Saints trying to get the ball in the hands of Marcus Murphy or Tommy Lee Lewis on offense. I really would. I would love to see that. At least 2 or 3 plays to Tommy Lee Lewis and Marcus Murphy. They might be small in nature, but these 2 guys play with heart. And they are playmakers. If you ever look back at preseason, the 2 MVPs on offense in terms of total yards were Marcus Murphy and Tommy Lee Lewis. Nobody else did anything in the first game Mike Thomas did well. After that, nobody did nothing on offense in preseason besides those two players significantly. So I'd like to see Coach Payton try to figure out a way to get Tommy Lee Lewis the ball, as well as have Marcus Murphy play a couple of plays on offense, because you need playmakers, and these guys have the propensity to make plays. Now it's going to be important for Marcus Murphy to make sure he has the technicality down with securing the ball, because he is a playmaker. So let's see how that works. And Brandon Coleman, if you're throwing 2 or 3 passes, you must catch them. We don't need you to have 100 yards, but we do need you to contribute at least 40 to 50 yards if the opportunity presents itself, because we need Brandon Coleman, and especially in the red zone with a 6'6" Steiner, 6'6" Coleman, 6'3" Michael Thomas, and a 6'4" Josh Hill. We got 4 people we can throw it up to. Now, they're not as talented as Jimmy Graham, but we have the height in the red zone. We cannot continue to keep kicking field goals when we get inside the 20-yard line or inside the 25. So those are some of the keys on offense that I think are very, very significant if the Saints want to win this game or have an opportunity to win the game. And most important, here's the number one reason why the Saints can win this game. No turnovers. The Saints were a -8 in preseason with turnovers. We cannot have the turnovers that we had in preseason, the turnovers we had in 2015, the turnovers that we had in 2014, turnovers in 2012. That's why the team is 7-9 in those 3 years. It's not just the defense, people. It is also the offense turning over the ball, changing momentum. We love Drew, but Drew throws interceptions in the red zone, interceptions in the scoring zone, pick sixes, Mark Ingram fumble, a tip ball by Willie Snead. Back in the day, a tip ball used to be Marcus Costa, used to be sometimes Jimmy Graham. We have simply got to stop with the turnovers. We cannot continue to average turning the ball over at least 1 or 2, 3 times a game. That's going to cause you to have close games, and that's going to cause you to lose. So the biggest factor while I'm dealing with the offense, New Orleans Saints to win this game, no turnovers. I think the Saints have only lost 1 game under Coach Payton when they never turned over the ball. So their record is up 99% that they win when they do not turn over the ball. So let's just hope on Sunday that the offensive line can hold up, for Drew. That the wide receivers will show up. Brandon Coleman. You know what you got in Cooks and Snead. Let's see if Michael Thomas can also be a threat, which will give us added. Let's see if Spillers can come out the backfield. I don't want him to be Darren Sproles because nobody needs to duplicate a copycat of them, but to be effective like Darren Sproles and Pierre Thomas were in the offense. So we want much success for Mr. Spillers, much success for Brandon Coleman, and much success on offense. And I think the Saints can do this on this Oakland Raiders defense. Okay? All right. We're going to take a commercial break. Kyle, if you can cue up New Orleans Arts Media Institute with our brothers, Octave Anderson and Kimmick Smothers, located at Southern University of New Orleans. They got an incubator out there that provides business techniques for all of you that are in the entertainment business, movies, music, all of that great stuff. A really, really great company. If you are located in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, anywhere in the southeast of Louisiana, Mississippi, even Texas, even the panhandle of Florida, why don't you go over there if you're in New Orleans and you're trying to get your entertainment business up and running? Kimmick Smothers, attorney Kimmick Smothers, and my man, Octave the Maestro Anderson. They are 2 great brothers that I know personally. They're dear friends of Kyle and I. You need to go and check them out. They're doing great things in New Orleans for the entertainment business. Kyle, can you cue up the commercial?
The New Orleans Media Arts Institute is located on the campus of Southern University at New Orleans in partnership with the College of Business and Public Administration. As a small business incubator, our mission is to provide entertainment industry small businesses a platform for exploitation of their creative content while providing expert business support and technical guidance. The vision is to enhance the entertainment business infrastructure by developing a hub for small businesses, building relationships with industry professionals, and facilitating an organic expansion of the creative arts community.